In the world of Zenless Zone Zero, humanity has been brought to its lowest by the Hollow phenomenon. In a previous video, I went over how, in their desperation, humanity created artificial life to survive the Hollow threat. However, when that life was deemed defective, it was discarded like trash. In this video, I want to talk about the actual corporations and entities making these decisions and how their greed will destroy humanity before the Hollows ever do. From TOPS to the Defense Force, their choices have not only shattered the lives of our agents, but they continue to make said choices that endanger humanity to this day, all for the sake of profit. Hello everyone, it's your favorite nerd Nerdtron, and this is How Corporations Kill, the real threat in Zenless Zone Zero. Let's get into it. Okay, so New Eridu is the last bastion of humanity in the world of Zenless Zone Zero. Hollows have pretty much destroyed everything on the planet and people are on their last legs. Like any society, some corporations and companies help keep the lights on and supply people with their everyday needs. However, that is only what we see on the surface. Behind closed doors, some companies have committed some of the most heinous crimes against humanity and their fellow sentient beings, all in the name of winning and profit. Let's start off with our first antagonist, Vision Corp. On the surface, they're a typical ruthless company, but their purpose in Chapter 1 is to foreshadow the rot at the very top. Vision Corporation is a construction company that rivals Bellabog Industries. Their main goal is to become a member of New Eridu's premier business alliance, TOPS. They are contracted to destroy the old Eridu Metro, which has been swallowed up by a Hollow. But here's the catch. They plan to do it without evacuating the civilians still living there. And while yes, Sarah was manipulating everything behind the scenes, Paulman still made his choices and still made the choice to destroy this place with the civilians in it. However, thanks to the cunning hairs, the events were stopped before any real harm could be caused, and the civilians sued the corporation, even though Sarah managed to slip away. These events show us three things. A. Companies will do anything for profit. B. Those who follow their orders are complicit. And, crucially, C. To join the big leagues, aka join TOPS, you must be as ruthless as possible and be willing to kill anyone and do anything to get there. And this is where the foreshadowing pays off, because the next time we see this logic, we see it from the Alliance themselves, not just some figurehead. In Miyabi's character teaser, Rise of the Void Hunter, we see that a Hollow dubbed Argos is expanding at an unprecedented rate. Miyabi arrives and is briefed on the situation. However, before she can act, a consultant from TOPS interrupts the meeting. Her advice? Blow up a Shiyu pillar and destroy the Hollow and the ethereal inside. The problem is that there were 147 civilians, 36 public security officers, 17 Hollow investigators, 8 executive officers, which will result in over 208 casualties, unquote. The reason for this course of action was, of course, the company affiliated with TOPS would want their assets protected. Thankfully, Miyabi was able to go in and destroy the ethereal and the Hollow within a matter of minutes. The scariest thing about this whole situation is that this woman was looking military personnel in the face and basically said, "Fuck the civilians, protect my money." If that's the attitude she has in broad daylight, what is she willing to do when the doors are closed? So let's add point D. TOPS doesn't just risk lives for assets, they coldly calculate mass casualties as an acceptable business expense. This isn't just greed, it's systematic biopower. And If this is their advice to the public, what horrors have they signed off in private? But this corrupt calculus isn't confined to boardrooms. It has fully infected the institution sworn to protect New Eridu, the Defense Force. One of the premier crimes they have committed is the crime of cloning. While yes, it can be argued that Ambi and Soldier 11 aren't real people, they are still sentient beings and thus have human rights. The Defense Force has violated every single one of those rights. Ambi was abandoned in the middle of nowhere when she was thought to be dead. Outrages upon personal dignity and the desecration of the dead, Soldier 11 was practically a child soldier, and Ambi and her squad were sent on a suicide mission, aka the willful killing / murder and Perfetti. The suicide mission wasn't just a betrayal of principle, it was the final transaction on a business spreadsheet. Both TOPS and the Defense Force show that once a life is commodified, any atrocity becomes justifiable. This all culminates when the proxy, along with Lycon and Hugo Vlad, discover that someone who is allied within TOPS is planning to experiment with sacrifices. Humans that turn into ethereals that can retain their cognition and act outside hollows. Now, given the damage the hollow phenomenon has created and caused around the world, having ethereals that can act and cause harm outside the hollow should be grounds for execution, let alone major investigation. Of course, at the end of the story, TOPS denies any involvement, but something tells me they knew all along and were wanting to see how things played out. Which brings me to this final horrifying conclusion. The proxy's discovery of the sacrifice experiment shows that TOPS isn't just endangering the lives of people with monsters, they're manufacturing them. So let's add E. TOPS will weaponize the very catastrophe that ended the world for profit, power, and influence. Okay, so let's go over the crimes against humanity these companies have committed so far. For TOPS and affiliates, we have endangering civilian life for profit, gross negligence and proposed mass casualties, corruption of fiduciary duty, reckless biotechnical experimentation. And for the Defense Force, we have creation of a disposable underclass, willful killing / murder, perfidy or treachery, outrages upon personal dignity, and the utilization of child soldiers. The storytellers at Hoyo want the audience to see what happens when companies and even militaries are given too much power. It allows these companies to do whatever they want without fear of consequences. From small companies like Vision Corp, who engage in cutthroat tactics to succeed, to TOPS, who escalated to the endangering of innocent lives as standard protocol, and it culminates in the Defense Force thinking they can play God with the human soul by creating clones. This type of corruption is spreading throughout New Eridu like a cancer, slowly poisoning not only the trust that people have in others, but in the people themselves. The writers at Hoyo want us to see that this corruption will not stop unless people like the Proxy, Bellabog, Cunning Hairs, and Section 6 take a stand and do everything in their power to oppose them. However, there are consequences for letting powers like these go unchecked. Specific individuals who have suffered at the hands of these companies and will take the fight right to those who caused these tragedies and are willing to destroy everything just to get revenge. But that analysis will have to wait for part 2 because, my God, these companies continue to commit crimes against humanity. But hey, I'm Nerdtron, and what do you guys think, Nerd Circuit crew? Are the companies in these stories the real threats, or the hollows still the number one priority? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.